Yeah, so let's do some questions and answers, and then I'm going to be off to bed. But it seems like you guys have a lot you're asking about. So, okay, and you're also asking, I'm here. Okay, I'm going to go to the ones that you guys posted. First of all, I saw there was one here from, um, who is this from? Okay, this was from Jen. And then there were two other people who said, yeah, I want to know that one too. Yeah, you love the Lullaboo and the Back Buddy. I love that Lullaboo. I've already talked to them. I'm so excited about that. I can't wait to try it out, to have you guys try it out. So I'm going to need some feedback on that one. Okay, so Jen asked, when using a nipple shield, does your baby's saliva still transfer in order to change the composition of your milk? Okay, so what she's referring to is something we talked about a couple months ago, I think, at this point. I don't know. Time's irrelevant at this point. But it was something about, we discussed the fact that not only does your milk create antibodies to, depending on what you're ill with, or your whatever, diseases or viruses, bacteria that you're having in your body, not only does that transfer through your breast milk to the baby, but whatever may be brewing in the baby can also, they found, show up in their saliva, and that saliva to the nipple can actually help have you create antibodies that you give back to the baby to protect the baby for whatever the baby is transferring to you. So I think that's where you're getting this information, as far as, like, I think that's where the question's coming from, is about the saliva and whether a nipple shield is going to block that. And the answer is going to be no. Because you're still going to get the same transfer, just the way you're getting the milk transferring to the, yes, like biofeedback. Exactly, Jessica. Perfect. So just how the milk is transferring through the shield to the baby, there's still the bacteria from the baby's mouth transferring back to the nipple. So I don't see that being an issue, really. And also, just the nipple shield has a cutout, and so the nose you should be using one of those contact shields. A contact shield has a cutout where the nose is. A lot of people don't realize what that cutout is for. As I'm saying it, I'm thinking, man, maybe you might not even realize what the cutout is for. There's shields that are completely circular that cover all the way around, and then there are cutout shields. Which shields do you have? The cutout shields. That's where you put the baby's nose. So depending on where you're positioning the I'm going to talk a little quieter because I'm in a hotel room. I don't want to wake up everybody around me. And tell me if you can't hear me, okay? So depending on where and which position you're going to nurse the baby, whether it's a football position or a cradle position, that's how you position the shield, so that the cutout is always where the baby's nose is. The nose should be up against the skin, so there should be nothing blocking the baby. You got a cutout shield. Okay, good. Do you know that you're supposed to turn that shield depending on the positioning? And when maybe the baby's cradled like this, the cutout goes on one side, and then when you put it on the other side, the cutout will go on the other side. All right. So bacteria is transferring from the nose, bacteria is transferring through the shield to the mouth, so it should be fine. I wouldn't worry about it at all. Yeah, that's not something to really be concerned about. And as far as the shields, we talked about this, I think it was Saturday. Was that only Saturday? Oh my God, that was only 2 days ago. I've been on a plane the entire time. So yeah, the other day when I was doing the Q&A with Jamie, we talked about nipple shields and, the worry about them never coming off the shields. And you go back and watch that. We discussed, just continuing to keep putting them back to the breast. Eventually, they will stop using the shield. So my hair looks really flat tonight. I can see it. It's from sitting on the plane. I washed it and did nothing with it. I got right on the plane. Didn't think I'd be streaming, but here I am. It looks very flat. Can you tell I'm really tired? It was a long week. Can you tell? I walked around the entire week and then got back on a plane. So, all right, let's keep going here because I don't want to fade. All right, so this question came from Amy. Okay, Amy said, hi, Shari. I'm heading back to work and I have a 7-month-old who is still breastfeeding but is slowly starting solids too. When I pump at night, I usually get usually 1 to 2 hours after nighttime feeding. It will take me sometimes an hour to pump less than 5 ounces. I switch sides and my flow stops. It gets painful. How can I improve the flow, especially when I'll only be able to pump for 15 minutes on my break time at work? Thank you. Okay, so 2 things. One is, Oh, you're so sweet, Stephanie. Thank you. I don't feel that way right now, but all right. So two things. One is that it will be different when you go back to work and you're pumping versus um, pumping an hour or two after the baby's feeding at night. Okay, because remember, you're going to be substituting your pumping sessions for when you would normally be feeding the baby. And I would expect an hour or so after you've breastfed the baby for your breast to be not so full. So you know, 5 ounces is quite a bit to get an ounce or two, an hour or two after a breastfeed. So I would expect more like 2 ounces about an hour or so or two after a breastfeed. So if you're getting 5, yeah, that's why it's taking so long. But when you're at work, you'll see that by not breastfeeding and just pumping during those feedings, you're going to get it much quicker. So that's the first thing, is I'm just looking at the timing. The second thing is something we've been discussing a lot lately about how to use your breast pump properly so that you're actually getting the milk out effectively, efficiently, quickly, and thoroughly. I like all those words. Lots of adjectives there. Okay, so you know, I think that it's important to remember that you need to use your pump well. Set up your settings, use your settings to your advantage. That means stimulating your first letdown and then knowing how to stimulate second, third, fourth letdowns quickly. Pumping really should not take more than 15 or 20 minutes. I'd say that's like really a good pumping session. 20 minutes, you should get most of it out. That's because if you're using your pump settings right, you shouldn't have to pull the milk out. You should be able to stimulate letdown, stimulate letdown, stimulate letdown, and that's all going to work in your favor, all right? If you don't know what I'm talking about using your pump settings, then go back to some of my live videos over the last couple of weeks. I've talked about it several times about how you use your settings to stimulate that second letdown. And as we're answering that question, I'm going to scroll down because I know there was another question that kind of went along with that, and that had to do with the rescue remedy. And this came from Amanda. Amanda said, I've heard you mention using rescue remedy when pumping to stimulate a letdown. Can you give more information about this? I'm a teacher who'll be returning to work next week and can use any tips to speed up the pumping process. Okay, so one is to make sure that you're using your pump effectively to stimulate letdown, and then anything that you can do, letdown. So the letdown is a reflex by your body. The first main thing that causes letdown is a hormonal response. So by stimulating the nipple properly in the right way with your pump settings, you stimulate oxytocin to release from the brain, which then travels to the breast quickly and contracts the muscles around the milk ducts in your breast so that the milk starts to flow out. You know what I mean? So you see it happening. All of a sudden it just starts to squirt out. That's because those little muscles around the milk ducts are starting to contract the same way that your uterus contracts from oxytocin as well. But there are other ways to stimulate letdown. Not only is it a hormonal response, but it's also a physiological response as well. So other things that you can do is taking a picture of your baby, looking at your picture so that emotional response can stimulate letdown as well. Taking a onesie or a blanket from your baby from the day before that smells like your baby, smelling your baby, listening to your baby cry, or listening to your baby's sounds like cooing sounds, that can all stimulate the letdown as well. So all those things together. And then what she's asking here, what Amanda's asking, is something that I mentioned to you guys a couple weeks ago. It's called Rescue Remedy, and it's a liquid, and it's a homeopathic liquid that you can get right on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and type in Rescue Remedy, and it's by Bach flower, and that is totally safe, totally fine for you to take. And what it does is it helps to decrease anxiety. It helps to create relaxation. It's fine during pregnancy. It's fine during breastfeeding. You can't really take too much of it, but it really can help. And I've had moms who I worked with personally who went back to work. They keep it in their pump bag, and every time they go to start pumping, they first take a little bit of Rescue Remedy. It comes in a spray or a dropper. It also comes in little pellets that dissolve. I like the spray. It's like, you know, one of those breath sprays. That's what it feels like, but it's alcohol. So it tastes like alcohol. Not so bad. Take a little spray, and then you'll feel like your body starting to relax a little bit. All right. It's not like It's not strong. It's not going to make you too relaxed. It just can help with some letdown. So hopefully that will help you. Yeah, I think anybody having it is a good thing. Ooh, the air just kicked on. I'm still trying to figure out this air conditioner. I keep turning it down. If you can't hear me, please let me know, okay? And I will turn it back off again. Otherwise, I'll be hot. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. Anybody asking any good questions here? Okay, let me see. I'm gonna go over to the wall here again because it's really hard for me to read these while we're doing it. Okay. Okay. All right, so the next question was from Taylor. Taylor said, my exclusively breastfed daughter is 5 weeks old and for the past week has had stools that are completely liquid with no seeds. They aren't more frequent than normal and they don't smell different. From everything I read, this is normal. She's having the normal amount of wet diapers, but I'm still worried something I'm eating might be causing this. Also, I can only get her to eat from one side. This causes me to have a forceful letdown, so that might be causing it. How can I get the other side to produce? Pumping isn't working, and her bowel movements are normal, or should I see a doctor? Thanks. Okay, so as long as the baby's bowel movements are frequent, like you said, they don't smell different, like you said. They're yellow. They don't need to have seeds. They can have seeds in them, but that doesn't mean that they have to. Breast milk stool, like poop, is really, really liquidy. It can be really liquidy, and it could have seeds or curds in it, but it doesn't have to, and it's still normal. I would say that if you're getting that much stool and you're getting good wet diapers, and the baby's only wanting to eat on one side, 5 weeks old, most likely just because you have an abundant milk supply. The abundant supply would have her not want to eat on the other side, and you said you have a forceful letdown. She's probably getting everything that she needs from one side and doesn't need the other side. So the best way to do this, how can I get the other side to produce? Pumping is more. Okay, so you need to just make sure that you're alternating sides. If you're saying that, I don't know what your question means, you can only get her to eat from one side. Does that mean that she only eats on your right breast and refuses the left? Or does it mean that during a feeding, she only eats on one side and then next feeding you can alternate? Because if it's the second one where you can alternate sides, you don't really need to do anything. It'll actually help to decrease your supply a little bit and get your supply more regulated to what the baby needs. So I would say if that's the case, don't worry about it. If it happens to be that she prefers one side over the other, that's okay too. There's different reasons for that. Could be that one side's making a lot more than the other, but I don't even think that's what you're asking. I don't even think that's what you're asking. If you are only feeding on one side because of an oversupply or really forceful letdown, you don't necessarily need to pump the other side at that feeding. It will help to start regulating it down. So I wouldn't say try to make more. I mean, I wouldn't try to be making more. So I would leave that alone. It sounds like you're doing really, really good, Taylor. I don't think you need to see a doctor. I think that, yellow, runny stool, that's breastfeeding. Explosive ones too. Explosive ones too. Okay. Okay, the air just is going, all right. Okay, let's see. Katie, you just asked a question. Do you continue to take supplements like fenugreek throughout the time you're nursing, or just until you see a boost in the production? Depends on why you're taking fenugreek. I'm not really sure why you're taking it. A lot of people think they're not making enough when they actually are. So it can be a very perceived thing versus a real problem. Now, some people do have decreases in their milk supply, and fenugreek works great for that when you're feeding regularly, not prolonging, the time between feedings or putting the baby off, and everything's normal except maybe you got your period again. Maybe it's a hormonal thing that, randomly you'll start to have drops in supply at certain times. Then fenugreek could be really, really helpful intermittently. To have to take it the entire time, Although, I'm not really sure if that's necessary. I think it'll be up to you to decide whether you actually need it or not. Sometimes if you're a pumping mom where you're exclusively pumping, or you're back at work and you're pumping a lot of those feedings, because the pump can never get out as much as the baby can, it may help to have a little more milk, an abundance of milk, and fenugreek may really do the trick for that. Of course, it will never take over for frequent feedings. Okay, like I said, always say to you guys, the number one thing that's going to increase your supply more than anything else, okay, everything else is kind of like just complements this. Okay, the number one thing is going to be frequent feedings, whether that's at the breast or pumping. Okay, that's going to be the thing that mostly increases your supply. Hope that answers your question. Okay, let's keep going. I know you all want your questions answered here. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to read this on my computer and I have new context in again. Okay, all right, Nichelle, beautiful name, Nichelle. Nichelle asked the question, I have a 6-week-old little one. I feed on demand and pump. So we can build up a stock before going back to work. I started drinking mother's milk tea and have seen good results. However, I was just told that I should not have started drinking it till my little one is 12 weeks. Since I started drinking it early, will it hurt him or my supply? Why do you have to wait until 12 weeks? I'm not really sure that that's accurate. Nichelle, I have not heard that you need to wait until the baby's 3 months old to drink mother's milk tea, milkmaid tea. Oh, you're asking mother's milk tea. Well, all I know is that the milkmaid tea from Earth Mama, Mother's Milk Tea is a company called Traditional Medicinals, and I have to go to their website and read about what the exact ingredients in that tea are. But I don't even think that they would make something that you can't drink until the baby's 12 weeks old. I mean, I think that somebody could have told you that because maybe they're concerned it could create an oversupply, but there should be nothing in the milkmaid tea or the mother's milk tea that would prevent you from drinking it right from the beginning. So I'm not really sure that's accurate. And milkmaid tea from Earth Mama is fantastic, and it's definitely great in the beginning. You can drink it right away. I don't know if that's really true. I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't think it is. Laura asked, hi Laura, how does the Back Buddy pillow compare to the back support pillow that Boppy makes? Okay, well, I haven't actually looked directly at the back support pillow from Boppy, although I know that they kind of copied what Back Buddy's doing. Probably not the same as far as quality, and for sure I know that they're not using non-toxic foams and ingredients like quality, like the materials that they're using are not chemical free. So everything I discussed with Laura the other day when we were at her booth and we were talking about the Back Buddy and how she put so much attention into what the product is actually made of, so that there's no off-gassing of the product. That means the foams inside of it have no flame retardants, no chemicals. She's really, really careful about that because it's really close to where your baby's going to be laying, and those things are important. So that's one of the things about it. I got to look closer at the structure of it. But all I can tell you is that it was made after the Back Buddy, and it's not the original. But that's a really important part to it. I always feel like not only do we want something that physically works, where it's comfortable, and I also know that she has the lumbar support in there and the pockets on the Deluxe, which are fantastic. But when something is not made with good quality materials, especially something that your baby could be breathing in, I wouldn't compare the two. Okay. Okay, you guys are answering each other's questions. I love that. Hey, you guys, Joe and I were talking on the plane coming home from Vegas, and we're like ready to start this private group. I know you guys have been waiting for it. It was such a busy summer. I never got to it. We moved into a new house and I was sick a bunch and my appendix, like all this stuff was happening and I just never got to the point where we were able to start it. But I want to create such a great community for you guys. I'll be doing these kind of live Q&As there in the private group. It's going to be for my students, so you need to take at least one class with me. We'll talk more about it, whether it's taking the cloth diapering class, one of the breastfeeding or pumping classes, or you bought the pump and you got the class, or you won it. Maybe that's a good thing to start doing, to try to win one. I'll give some away each time, but I really want to be able to do that inside yes, I'm getting thumbs up for that. I know you guys are waiting for this, and that's going to be a lot more informal. That way you can post questions right in there and I'll be able to jump on and answer the questions. It won't be, always like, lots and lots of questions at the same time. And I'm hoping that what we can do is create a community where you guys are answering questions for each other too. And I also know that when you post here, it goes into your feed so people can read it like in your life. I'd rather create something that's private where you guys have the privacy, to be able to, and the security to be able to ask personal questions, whether it's about birth, postpartum, breastfeeding, anything that you want, you can go ahead and discuss in a private group with me and know that there'll be some confidentiality. Can we get some hearts for that? Are you guys excited about the private group? I'm really excited about it. Any hearts for that? I want to know if you're happy and you love it. Who wants to join? Who wants to join the group? Because we're going to be launching it like next week. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited too. I think it's going to be super fun. I keep getting all these ideas of things that we can do together because now you can stream live into a private group so no one else sees it except for me. And then on top of that, a couple weeks ago, there are all the hearts. A couple weeks ago when we tested out that Blue Jeans app where you guys could jump in and like get on the screen and talk to me, I think that's going to be perfect for the group so that we're actually having dialogue. It can have up to like 9 people on the screen and we can all kind of have a little bit of we could have a meeting. We could have a little breastfeeding conversation and every kind of conversation. We'll talk about anything. I'll talk about anything. So don't forget that when you're posting your questions to me, don't forget that to ask me anything you want. You really can. Okay. Let's see here. How about Samantha? Samantha said she's a bariatric patient. I suggested B12. When should she start it? She'll be induced November 23rd. She has gestational high blood pressure and she's 42. Congratulations. That's so wonderful, Samantha. I'm so happy for you. Yeah, we talked about this. Bariatric surgery is like weight loss surgery where the stomach is made smaller. And so I think that anyone who's had that kind of surgery that is pregnant or breastfeeding should be working with a nutritionist and a lactation consultant to make sure that, first of all, you're getting the nutrition. We talk about B12 supplementation. It's because most people with bariatric surgery actually do take that kind of supplement because you're not absorbing. The absorption is different. And you know what I'm talking about, Samantha. So it has to do with your absorption. B12 is the one that I know to be the most problematic, but it can also be calcium, folate, vitamin D. There's other vitamins that may not be absorbing as well. And a lot of this has to do with how soon after the surgery you get pregnant or you're delivering. The closer to the surgery, the worse it is. And as time goes on, it's better and better. So you need to be working with the baby number 3. Fantastic. Make sure you're working with a nutritionist and that they know that you're breastfeeding. And I'm sure that if you're keeping yourself healthy and all your vitamins are, and your nutrients are being adequately absorbed and they're telling you it's fine, then that should be fine for the baby. So I wouldn't say there's any particular time that you need to start it, but you take iron too. I'm 5 years out. Okay, yes, so it's probably fine. The longer that you wait, it's usually great. I'm excited for you. It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. Okay, November 23rd. You have to come on and give us a birth announcement, okay? So after your baby's born, make sure, you guys, post your birth announcements right to my wall so I can congratulate you. And we can all we'll do that in the group too. We'll do birth announcements. We'll do picture stuff, monthly pictures. We're going to have some really good fun. But yeah, I think that working with a nutritionist is important. Congrats. Everybody wants to join. You guys are saying you want to join the group. Yeah, good. So pay attention because next week I'm going to be announcing it. We're going to just jump on there and we're going to start it up. Okay. Okay, Jessica, you just asked the question. I heard that if you're pumping multiple times a day, you can put the pump parts in the fridge till the next pumping session for 24 hours. Is this true? Yes, it's true. You can, yes. You can put your pump parts right into the fridge. But when you're home, I would really recommend rinsing them off and then letting them air dry. You know, you pump, you rinse, put them on the rack, let them dry. Where this really comes into play that is really great is when you're at work and you've got your pump parts and you don't feel like washing them throughout the day and you just want to take them home and wash them once in the evening. You can put them right into the cooler. So if you have a cooler with ice, you can pump, you can take those bottles, you can put them into the cooler, and then you can take your pump parts and put those into the cooler, leave them there for the whole day. You don't need to wash and rinse them in between pumping sessions. And then when you go home in the evening, then you wash them, hot soapy water, you can put them in the dishwasher and really rinse them off. If you want to put them in the fridge for 24 hours, it's fine. Think about it. What we're talking about here is breast milk drying on the parts. If breast milk is refrigerated in that 24 hours, then you could mix the breast milk. So if you pumped and you can mix it. This is a good point. The only thing to consider is that when you pump, you need to be refrigerating that milk within the, it gets old every single day. So it can stay in the refrigerator for pretty much up to a week. So for most people, this is not an issue. 5 to 7 days in the refrigerator, then it can be frozen after that. But when you pump and you mix from day to day, all the milk, so say you pump an ounce one day on Monday, and then on Tuesday you pump another ounce and you mix them together, and on Wednesday you pump another ounce and you mix all those together. That's totally fine to do. The problem is that all the milk now becomes Monday milk, so that it all becomes as old as the first day. I would say the same thing with your pump parts too. If it's not an issue, if we're not even getting that far, then I think don't worry about it. Let's see. Kayla's trying to become an IBCLC. Any pointers on which path I could take? Okay, well, becoming an IBCLC, it requires quite a bit of hands-on clinical experience, many hours of clinical experience, and there's several different pathways, as I remember, on how to do that. So what you want to do is go to a website. It's called IBLCE.org, and that's going to be the lactation examiners. Go there and look at the different pathways to certification. Most people who become IBCLCs are either nurses, start off in some kind of the medical field, so they have those clinical hours, but you don't have to. There's also social workers that become IBCLCs. They don't count your own breastfeeding hours, so that doesn't count because a lot of us could put down lots and lots of hours for our own breastfeeding. It has to be working with other people. And then you can take the courses, there's lactation courses, and then take the exam. And they offer it twice a year now. Christy just started school to become an IBCLC. Excellent. This is fantastic. Let me tell you, it's been such a wonderful 10 years for me. I was a midwife and a nurse before I did this. So, for 25 years, I've been working with moms, but it's been the last 10 years that I really focused on lactation, breastfeeding, and postpartum, kind of goes together. So baby care, postpartum, and breastfeeding, and stop doing most of the pregnancy and birthing aspect of it, which was my focus and my main experience up until that point. And I gotta tell you, it's so rewarding. I'm happy to hear that you guys are continuing to do this. We need more people to obviously look at the amount of questions. People need help, and so I'm really happy to hear that you guys are on here with me and learning. We were thinking, one of the things that I'm planning in the future coming up is to create some courses for anybody who's thinking about becoming an IBCLC, for doulas, to help teach some of the methods that I have been teaching for so many years, and to support you on giving good content, on how to teach good classes, on how to lead support groups. I mean, those are things that I feel like I can do really well. So I might be doing some of that with you guys. We'll be talking about a lot more of that in the year to come. Did I announce all the winners for the prizes for the ABC convention? Katrina, I haven't announced any of the winners. Oh, just one. The Earth Mama, they announced a winner on their page. But no, we haven't announced any of the winners, and there's a lot of prizes. I just literally haven't stopped. We were at the show until Friday afternoon, like 3 o'clock. Then we were, I went out to dinner with Joe and Jamie on Friday, and we were at Britney Spears concert all night, and we got home very, very late. And then on Saturday, I did the live show with Jamie in the morning, and then we saw some friends that we haven't seen in years. It was so good. So everybody had already left the show. Everybody went home, and Joe and I were still there. So we got to go see some friends Saturday night. And then we were on a plane at 6 a.m. on Sunday. So we flew all day across country back to New Jersey, came home, saw the girls, passed out, and then this morning I woke up and packed and got back on a plane, and I'm out here in Ohio. So no, I haven't announced winners yet, but I don't even remember what we did prizes for. I got to go back to the videos. I have to watch them because I was just stopping at booth after booth, and we were giving away stuff everywhere you could look. So yeah, I'll make sure that you guys can see it. I'll announce the winners, and we'll be making sure that anybody who wins, I always tag you so that you don't miss it, okay? Like, I'll always tag you or message you so that you don't just, not know that you won and miss out. I would never do that to you. I would never do that because I would be so upset if I won something and missed it, because I'd be the one to miss it for sure. I would miss it. So I never do that to you. Okay. Let's see. Okay, here's a question. Here's a question from Kathleen. She said she exclusively breastfeeds her 2-month-old. She was recently diagnosed with a dairy soy allergy. When she stopped all dairy and soy, her stools turned green. Is this an issue with fore milk, hind milk? I let her eat on demand and offer both sides and let her finish on her own. Also, it's been 2 weeks and she still has mucus in her stool. Any idea when this will normalize? Thank you so much for your help. Okay, so typically the green is an irritation of the bowel. That could be from a fore milk, hind milk, and we do see it from that. But it could also be just like a leftover from the dairy soy reaction, and you're explaining it as an allergy, but probably it's more of an infant intolerance. I don't know who diagnosed it as an allergy, but it's probably just an intolerance, and you got to be really careful because like so many things have soy and dairy in it, so you may not even you may have cut what you think out of your diet, but if she's truly intolerant, any little bit, if you continue to eat it, she's gonna feel it. It's going to affect her. So the green stool could be that. If you're really being careful and you're cutting it out, and it's not really fore milk, hind milk, because you're alternating sides, you're letting her eat on demand. You offer both. Let's see. Would you say you offer both sides and let her finish on her own? Yeah. Try sticking on to one side till it's fully drained, and then offering the second side as like a follow-up versus, 50-50 necessarily. I don't know how much milk you're making. If you feel like it's an oversupply and it's a fore milk, hind milk, that could be doing it. But it could also take a couple weeks for the baby's system to normalize. Yes, intolerance, no skin issues, and it's everywhere, even in tuna fish. I'm reading all day. It's unbelievable, right, Kathleen? It's unbelievable. And soy, it is everywhere. And honestly, most of you guys should just not be eating soy at all. Soy is not good in the form that, is these fillers that they put into foods. Soy has a very strong negative effect on our thyroid gland. And when we are postpartum, many women develop hypothyroidism postpartum anyway. So the last thing that you want is to be eating soy that can really damage and decrease your thyroid function anyway. If you have a thyroid condition, which I do, and I cannot have any soy at all, it really would hurt me. So you got to make sure that you're really reading those labels and avoid soy. A lot of babies are really affected by soy, and a lot of babies are affected by dairy. So both things together. You got to read labels. Try to stick to as much whole food as possible, less processed food. That's how you can avoid the soy, meats and vegetables and fruit and grains. But, trying to avoid processed foods is going to be your best bet. It could take a little while, Kathleen, for her bowels to regulate better and for the greenness to go away. But as long as you're cutting out. Yeah, you're hypothyroid too, Amy. Welcome to the club. A lot of people, have, it's autoimmune in most cases, and we're just surrounded by all kinds of toxins in our environment that's creating a lot of this for many, many people, especially women, and especially postpartum. You may not have ever had a thyroid condition before, but you may, if you're the problem is postpartum with thyroid is that so many of the symptoms of hypothyroidism mimic the same exact symptoms of just having a new baby. Like you're tired, you feel a little down, you feel like your hair is falling out, which can happen postpartum. So a lot of those symptoms can be really similar. Some other symptoms are like constipation, feeling really cold, and those wouldn't necessarily be postpartum symptoms, and also low milk supply. So this is something super important to keep your eye on. Hashimoto's. That's Jessica's saying she was diagnosed with Hashimoto's at 17. That's the autoimmune. So, if you're having any of those symptoms, even if you've never had them before and you're postpartum, make sure you talk to your doctor or your midwife about it. You can take blood tests to check that as well. Not only thyroid function tests, but you could check for antibodies. And that was actually how I was diagnosed many, many years ago was, my thyroid function was coming back normal. So every time they would take the blood work, even though I had all the symptoms, they would do the blood work and it still didn't seem like it was that abnormal. And so I was being misdiagnosed. And then finally I did my own reading and I had them test my antibodies, and the antibodies were like through the roof, like super high, super, super high, which is definitely an indicator of an autoimmune condition. So that was actually how I was finally diagnosed, and then I've been on medication ever since. And I can tell the difference. If my medication is off, I feel terrible. And it was super important to make sure that was regulated when I was pregnant and breastfeeding, because I could tell I'd have issues with milk supply if I wasn't. So it can also cause infertility. It can cause miscarriages. So you just want to make sure that you're being checked, and that we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that that same thyroid issue that could have caused some infertility could be impacting your milk supply too. So all those things need to be corrected. I don't even know how we got talking about this, but it was good information. I think it was very good to talk about. All right. Let's see. And issues with ovulation. I used to be hyper and was radiated. This is Jillian saying, which caused terrible hypo. I could have never been able to get or stay pregnant. Must be tracked close. Yes, it is. Yes, it must. And look at how many, just a few people on here on a live stream, and we have so many people complaining about it. It's like it's a really big problem. When I was in private practice as a midwife, I used to see so many women with undiagnosed thyroid problems that I would test them for, and luckily they would start treatment. So, yeah. Oh, that's great, Jessica, that your pediatrician was paying attention. Yeah, really a problem. It's kind of scary, like what's causing all this. I don't know exactly. I don't think anybody really knows what's causing it. It's kind of scary to think about how many of us are sick with certain things that are very common. Wonder if already having an autoimmune disease makes me more at risk. It's possible. Remember, what autoimmune is, your body actually attacking itself in some way. So there's some kind of hyperimmune response that your body's having in order to have that happen. So I would think that it does make us more susceptible if our bodies are responding that way already to having that happen. So yeah, need to be careful and pay attention to your symptoms. Pay attention to things. Tune into your body. It's really easy to just get sort of disconnected, thinking about the baby, focusing on your family, not thinking about your own health. But really, what would really be okay? What would run if you weren't running? What would be healthy if you weren't healthy? You know, you're the focus, you're the provider, you're the nurturer, you're the one taking care of the kids, of taking care of your life, going to work, taking care of your family. So it's really important to take care of yourself. And I learned that this year in a very personal way. You know, I took it for granted for so long, and I was never sick. And, you know, I just didn't think about it. It was like work, take care of the kids, you know, do my thing. And then my body just went, done. And I was like months of like, you know, in and out of the hospital this year. And it's really made me much more conscious about how much my health impacts my family. So I've been like really focused on like everything that comes up, I check it out and I get support. So I encourage that for all of you, for sure. And make sure you're getting some rest, even though I know it's really, really hard, because not getting enough sleep is going to deplete you completely. Speaking of sleep, I'm feeling kind of tired now. And did you guys like this? Just jumping on to get tonight? Thank you for keeping me company. I'm alone in this hotel room. It's a very comfortable couch, though. It's like this really nice love seat. I don't know if you could see it. It has this really nice love seat here. I was like, oh, that's perfect. Let's do a Q&A. All right. So I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight and say goodnight. And I got my meetings all week, so hopefully I'll be back with you guys. Maybe we'll do a little live streaming from Even Flow. Maybe I could convince the ladies to do some interviews with me this week so you can meet them. They're awesome, awesome people. I did one at the show with Elise was there with me, so you got to meet Elise. Maybe we'll get them all on camera. We'll show up with the camera tomorrow. But then just pay attention. We're going to be, like I said, announcing the private group coming up probably in the next week. And then I'm hoping to have, so next weekend I'm going to be in LA at the LA Baby Show, speaking with Jamie. We're going to be doing a live stream Q&A in front of an audience. It was great. We did it in the spring in New York. We'll be doing that in LA next weekend. And I was kind of hoping to have the group set up before we go. So hopefully that's going to happen next week. And watch out for all the prizes because I'm going to be announcing them too this week. Okay, all of the great prizes from the ABC show. Good night, everyone, and I will talk to you all soon. Have a fantastic night. I love you all. Good night. Bye.